maybe someday they'll do something, but it sucks, man. It really sucks. As a strategic as a wargaming enjoyer myself, a lot of their decisions just do not make a lot of sense to me. You're fighting an existential war. Act like it. The game that's being played is like it's a lot more subtle than most realize, and I understand it's subtle. It's the same playbook that took out Syria. Chip away. Literally chip away. You do a small thing here, a small thing there. And you'll get angry, but it was just a small thing. It was just a small incident. So you paper it over, you know. But then they do it again. But a little later. Because you didn't react the first time. And now, because you didn't react the first time, they're now emboldened. Oh, that was a light source. So, it really is just a death by 1,000 paper cuts, because it's literally just, oh, it's just a few strands of hair. It's just a few strands of hair. And then, so you paper it over. There's no good way to counter it, because you can immediately escalate, but that's also what they want. They want you to escalate, because it gives them casus belli to do something. Like, let's say we're just going to continue down with the Syria example. I decide to... I am an enemy nation, Israel. I don't like Syria, obviously. What is the best way to use my forces effectively to knock Syria off the chessboard without losing many pieces, if any? So you strike. You make a small token strike against a singular air defense system. You take a big risk. You load up like 5 planes, and then off you go. You lob a bunch of stuff at it, and it hits. It hits. It goes well. So now you're left for the next day. Next question. You wait for how they respond. Do they do anything? If they don't do anything, then that's good for you. It's really good, because then you can move on to another step. That step being... that step really just being... continue. Because that's one less air defense system you have to worry about. You launch some artillery strikes at it, or you launch some air missiles, some SAMs, anything really. Not SAMs. Definitely not SAMs. Good God. That's a waste of a SAM. But once you sort of got that, you can... Well, that air system had to be replaced, or it didn't get replaced. You don't know. But since they didn't do anything, it means they didn't want to escalate. So you strike, take another risk, strike another one. But you stagger these out like by like a few months, but you have to do it faster than how many they're getting. If they're not getting any or not producing any, well, that's just one less air defense system. And bada bing, bada boom, you've now what was originally like probably 30 air defense systems, now there's 29. So now what? You continue. Strike another one. There's one you happen to catch wind. There's like a they're transporting some hardware around in a convoy, so it won't be active. Well, that's perfect. That's prime striking. Prime strike. So if you decide to take the risk, and then bam, 2 more air defense systems are destroyed, and 1 is damaged, and the other is fine. That is 3 less operational air defense systems you need to worry about. Now you're down to 24. You wait it out. Oh, looks like the Syria decided to strike back a little bit, and they whacked some of your settlements, just a few, and then as a show of force that they mean business. Okay, but it didn't escalate any further than that. You just trade some blows, yada yada. But you got their air defense systems. They only took out 2 civilians. Think about that calculus. 2 civilians for 2 multi-million-dollar air defense systems that aren't being replaced. There's 30 of them. You already got 5 of them now. That's great. And all you have to do is like pay out some funeral processions and woe unto these and make some bemoaned statements. That's a really good deal, honestly, in terms of a military objective. 2 to 5 civilians for multi-million dollars. That calculus is pretty good. But you still gotta wait. So then another opportunity strikes. You needed some wanted a terrorist or whatever happens to be active, quote unquote. It's not really. Is active near one of their SAM sites or one of their air bases or air defense systems. Let's make some false intel, launch up some documents, and then get your guys and fire away at your fake target. But you have some go towards the air defense system because you want to make sure that you get your quote-unquote target. Now, oh, you got 2. You damaged one, and you got knocked out another. Well, now you've just knocked out 2 air defenses. Down to 22. Do you see how this works? And they once again fire back into a border zone, you know, and bam. Oh, it's a tragedy. It's a true tragedy. 14 died. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the higher-ups because you're whittling away irreplaceable hardware. So the calculus is still in your favor. Yeah, sure, you may pay out some insurance costs to your poor people for the border incident, you know, make it seem like you care. But they're still not getting replacements. But now there's a gap in the air coverage. Now you can start getting a bit more bold. There's a gap in the air coverage now. Because there no longer is an effective radius. So you can start planning for that and using that blind spot corridor. And lo and behold, you now have access to at least another 7 defense platforms. You now have another access to another 7 air defense platforms. So you get some intel there. Repeat the process, and they're still not replacing them. It's been all this has to happen over the course of years. And yeah, so you take another risk, and now you get 2 planes, load them bump with some of the hardware, and this time you get shot at by the air defense system. Oh no! You flare out, lob your missiles at it, and hope it hits, and get the hell out of there. Yeah, your flares manage to easily take care of the incoming missile, and you've damaged one. You damaged one of your targets, but you missed the other. But you've managed to still hit the target. You're now down to 19, and because there's no escalation, it's gonna keep going. It's a tragedy. How do you beat this sort of system? How are you supposed to properly? Were you at the first sign of attack? Were you supposed to just completely throw open the board? Logically dictates you probably should have, but your populace is like it's just a SAM site. It's not that big a deal. But militarily, it is the biggest deal. Because now you're losing valuable hardware. It's actually a really brilliant, if annoying, strategy. If you can just whittle away, just keep whittling away. As long as you're patient, it will work out for you. It really will. Now, let's say you did escalate at this stage. Well, half of your air defense system is compromised. You can't do anything about it. Some of your military assets are busted. Since you're not getting more, you're clearly having budgetary problems because you're not ordering more, or your supplier is not intentionally giving you more. Russia. But so those air defenses that are so valuable, just yeah, sure, you can launch them off. They're some of your best. But your problem is, once you're out, you're out. You can't do anything else. So if you only see like one fighter, well, is it really worth that multi-million irreplaceable missile to possibly strike one Israeli plane? Or do you try and get a saturation, or do you wait? Do you wait and try and wait for like an opportunity where you see like 3 and it has a target lock on all 3, and then once it's up there or in battlefield conditions, it picks its target properly. I don't know how S400 works, but it's just a shitty example. I know you like air defenses, you want saturation fire because you need to fire off a lot for your own defense. perhaps. So, but now you still have to justify why you escalated over just a SAM site. So now you have a different problem, at least internally, is that this war looks like you just overreacted to just some small military skirmish. It's like, what was the proper play? What is the proper play? I cannot pretend to know the answer. My first reaction would be just escalate hard and fast immediately. Don't let them play the game. Because once you show that you're willing to play the game, so to speak, you've lost. Because they'll just whittle you down. Death by 1,000 cuts, as they say. Now, the other option is still to just let them cut you to pieces slowly and pray for a miracle, but praying for a miracle only gets you so far. As Assad said, he said he could hold out in his civil war for about 10 years. He gave them 12. So, was it the right call? Hard saying, because he was also in a civil war. I'm just trying to think. What was the better option? Like, was there a play that it could have been done that could have saved Assad in Syria like that? Because of his problem was the death by 1,000 cuts. One of them. One of his many problems. Civil war, no replacement hardware. The U.S. occupying 1/3 of their country for their oil field and wheat farm. Hard saying. The winning move probably was to just escalate as hard as they could with Israel. But then that would have possibly also given them Golan and whatever else they wanted in Syria. Perhaps. It really sucks is Syria was the linchpin to keep Hezbollah fighting properly. There goes my pick. So, hard to say. But, in any case, I hope you all enjoyed listening to me desperately try to explain escalation dynamics. It was kind of unplanned, it just kind of rolled into that. So there was like no true plan for how that discussion went. But I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!